The news this morning, Hurdy, is that Christian Petracca wants to be traded to the Gold Coast Suns. What are your thoughts?
Big news that you broke about half an hour ago, Tom. You're on fire. Look, it's a big feather in the cap to the Gold Coast Suns. I'm not surprised. I think that what Damien is done up there, what the Suns have done up there, not just Damien, the Suns have done up there, has made it very attractive. They've got an excellent team, and he sold the dream to Christian Petracca. And I think Christian wants to be part of a coach that believes in him and a team that's going somewhere, and he will definitely help that midfield. Whether he went to Adelaide or whether he went to Gold Coast, he'll definitely help that midfield.
So Adelaide will say that they pulled out or they weren't interested or their interest cooled late in the piece, and that's a matter for interpretation or conjecture. It might be real, it might not be real. It's hard to know exactly. But what is clear is that Christian Petracca makes the Gold Coast Suns legitimately better. The way he plays in big games, his professionalism, his history of success, the fact that he can play that Dusty Martin role, and Damien Hardwick has proven that he can coach that responsibility as well. Everything about this makes me just think the Gold Coast Suns have gone from being a finals team to a potential premiership fancy with one signature.
Absolutely. You look at the final they lost to Brisbane, and it was pretty obvious the Brisbane midfield overpowered the Gold Coast midfield. Just too much depth. They were coming back off a Perth trip, but the Brisbane depth really hurt them. Having Petracca in there, it also allows Bailey Humphrey to play more forward line. It allows their people to come on and off, and it just throws more weapons at the opposition. And you're right. If you want to be a premiership contender, you have to have depth through your midfield, to be able to rotate, and those midfielders have to be able to play different positions, half-back, but definitely for Petracca, it'll be that forward line as well.
So I say signature. Clearly no signature yet. A trade still needs to be done, but we told you the other day, and you've heard all over the place on Trade Radio this week, that Melbourne's strong preference was for Petracca to choose the Gold Coast Suns, because the Gold Coast Suns draft hand is ample, really. 6, 13, 16, 32 are their top picks in the top 32 at the moment. Sam Flanders will go. If he goes to the Saints, they'll get pick 7 as well. So they'll have 6, 7, 13 and 16. And then Melbourne and the Suns will be able to do a deal easily from that point.
What gets it done? Because I'm hearing that Melbourne still want a player. But that may have changed with Oliver and Petracca out. They may be going, okay, we need to get the rebuild started.
Well, the player could be Sam Flanders if he chooses Melbourne. And I think I saw it reported yesterday, I think it was Cal Toomey, that Flanders will meet with the Demons again. So I still think St Kilda is the favourite for Flanders. But the Demons still believe they're in it. So that would satisfy the player component. So Flanders and another pick, I'd imagine.
Flanders and pick 7, would that do it?
Flanders and 7 for Petracca. Yeah, I mean, that's probably right for someone that's got 4 years remaining on a deal, and I think that's what probably Melbourne would demand. I think Gold Coast starting position would be, no, that will give you pick 16 in Flanders, given that Flanders is also contracted.
But I think Gold Coast would do that, because if you start to look at a window and how important a player like that is to get you in that window, to get you from being a winning finalist, into the prelim, into the grand final, if that's what it takes, if they believe that's what it takes, you do sell a bit more.
Sad Memben is reporting on Twitter that Bailey Humphrey's management has reached out to multiple rival clubs in recent days as it becomes increasingly clear the player has an appetite to leave the Gold Coast in the trade period. Humphrey is currently in Melbourne. Now, the Suns are set to seriously dig in, given the contract he's got 3 more years and potential admiration which Damien Hardwick has for him. I mean, this is another potential bombshell in the trade period. The Bailey Humphrey discussion just continues to evolve. So the way this played out a couple of weeks ago is, I got strong mail that Bailey Humphrey had spoken to Sam Mitchell earlier on in the season, a few weeks ago. Hawthorn vehemently denied it. And so I've got to take them at their word. But for whatever reason, it feels like these Victorian clubs feel like they're a chance to bring him in. And he's a gun, Bailey Humphrey. And the Suns think he's a gun as well.
Absolutely. Gippsland power boy. So, wanting to come back to Victoria, it's, half an hour ago I said there's no way that the Suns would do it. And why would he want to leave a team like the Gold Coast Suns are on the way up, but that call to home, or that pull back to home, is a strong one. And it's interesting when players do it. Like, he is a highly desired player. I just can't see the Suns even entertaining it.
No.
But when you're trying to build a list and when you're trying to build a team and you're so close, which they are, you lose a piece like that, it can throw a lot out, because they would rely on him to be that goal kicking forward, move on the ball, move back in the forward line, hard player to play against. He's a player that it's hard to sit on because he can play multiple roles. And with Petracca coming in, maybe they swap out in the midfield. So it's, I think it's, I just can't see the Gold Coast Suns playing at all.
We want to touch on a few players that have a bit of an unknown period coming up. And Mason Cox is one of them. He played both finals this year. He was in and out of the team, played probably 50-50 senior footy and VFL footy this year. He doesn't have a contract just yet. Where do things sit with the American?
Yeah, he had a good exit meeting last week with Fly. Sorry, last week with Fly, and I think around where each other want to be moving forward, and he's expressed that he'd like to continue playing on. You're right, we don't have a contract offer at this stage, but I'd like to think that, with obviously what he's been able to do throughout his career, and especially coming in those big finals and contribute at such a high level, but also with the new ruck rule and the sub rule, I'd like to think that there's going to be a role there for him. He's been very clear that he'd like to continue playing on with the Pies, but of course we're out there trying to canvass options for him at the moment.
If it isn't to be Collingwood,
James,
could it be another club that comes for him? Because in the past we've seen clubs ask the question of Mason Cox. Is he keen to go elsewhere if he doesn't get a deal at Collingwood?
Well, absolutely. We'll look at other options. But ideally, we land back in the black and white. And I think what we see year on year with the ruck space is that it does become a little bit of a merry-go-round. Obviously Draper's left Essendon to go to Brisbane, and there'll be other movement as well. So, look, we're full steam ahead trying to push for an opportunity at the Pies. But if that's not forthcoming, we'll have to look at other options.
I think Sam Draper will go through today, so I think that'll be lodged today. And I'm expecting now that compensation will be an end of first-round pick for the Bombers.
Okay.
So I think it's been tight, but I'm expecting that to come down to the wire, but be an end of first-round pick for Sam Draper, not a top 10 pick.
And so that means that given Essendon finished below Carlton on the ladder, it will slot in before the Jack Silvani compensation pick at the end of the first round.
Yes, correct. Give you this, though, on Zach Butters.
Oh.
I'd strongly expect Collingwood to be right in the thick of the Zach Butters sweepstakes next year. So they don't have picks, but they have free agency options. In saying all of that, if Butters left Port Adelaide, I think it'd be matched in heartbeat as well. So you're going to probably need picks if you're going into the Zach Butters race. But yeah, we hear a lot about Geelong and the Bulldogs, and that's because they are the two key suitors for him over that side of town. If he does eventually look at moving from Port Adelaide as a free agent next year, but I think Collingwood will be giving it a shake.
Before we get to some questions, some breaking news, a statement released from St Kilda. The club says, at his recent year-end exit interview, Jack Steele advised the club of his desire to step down from the captaincy. The club called Jack in today for a follow-up discussion about his playing future and to discuss his openness to explore other opportunities. Jack advised the club that he wants to stay, but is prepared to consider opportunities if presented to him. He's got 2 years to run on a deal at the Saints that runs through until 2027. I think it's been clear for some time that St Kilda would be willing to allow Jack Steele to go and chase another club if they were open to it. I think the crux of this one has been whether or not Jack Steele has been open to actually going to another football club and resuming his career somewhere else. And I think that still remains the pivotal piece of this.
Yeah, and he hasn't to this point. He's been happy to see it out and to play it out and doesn't want to be captain, obviously, as part of this as well in terms of his future now at the Saints. The question will be, again, like it is for the Jai Simpkin type of situation, is there a taker for an inside midfielder on good money for the last couple of years of his deal, signed his contract when he was at the peak of his powers, winning best and fairest, finishing really high in the Brownlow medal. So is the taker out there? He joins now a list of midfielders who are looking for new options and new homes. And if it's right, and if there is one that's out there for him, it's got to be the best fit, doesn't it? At this point, there hasn't been one that's really come and knocked the door down and said, we want you.
Yeah.
And that's made it easy for him to want to stay. But now that openness has been clear in this statement as well, that the opportunity from St Kilda to let him go, does that open the door as well to suggest they're right in the frame for Sam Flanders? Is it a Flanders in, Steele out type of situation in terms of what they want to fit into that midfield mix, but also cap-wise?